Hey guys, Mr. George Dream is back with Inez for season 4. We are looking at Plasma Bullet yet again. There have been some new mods, new changes, and more importantly, transcendent weapons to look at and consider. And we have some new activities like trials in the Mega Dungeon to squeeze her in as well. If you enjoyed the video or learned anything, consider liking it. And if you have any questions, comment them down below. With all that being said, let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, when it comes to Plasma Bullet, there's a lot to talk about to understand with Inez. We're going to take it one step at a time. To start us off, we're going to talk about her passive, Plasma Bullet. Your skill critical hit rate will increase based off your MP, which the max is 800, which the max for everything with Inez's MP is going to be 800, but you need it for multiple reasons. When you attack enemies afflicted by a conductor, which some of her other abilities will bestow, you will deal damage with dark current. Multi-hits also trigger this with your firearms, which is good because we're going to be shooting a multi-hit weapon. But critical hits with your skills have 100% trigger rate of this bonus damage. It is important to get the most out of this that we reach that 800 MP, and when we go over the modules, I'll explain how we get there. Her 4 ability, which is Snare Hunter, you shoot a plasma ball forward, creating a big AoE that inflicts that conductor on enemies. This also gives you some movement speed, which is really nice. But when enemies have that conductor status effect, your dark current will trigger doing the bonus damage. So this is a really nice ability to shoot out before the start of the fight. Your 3 ability becomes Tracking Prey, which this is just a forward dash. The important thing, this is a huge part of our build, is that this can be used for evasion as well as reloading your weapon. Then her 2 ability, Lightning Conductor. This is a couple different things. Some of the highlights is going to be really important for our trigger mod when we go over that. But this also gives us a stacks of plasma charge that give us in total 30 plus more multi-hit chance with firearm, which is really good because the more multi-hit we have, the more dark current detonations we will have on enemies. And then finally, the induced current. This puts some electric balls on your bullets that just bounce all over the place. It does increase with your range. With my build, I have 10 bounces. It is important to keep in mind the higher your fire rate and the more enemies you're shooting with each bullet, the more bounces you're going to get. You do have to charge this with your other abilities, but it's really not an issue. Now for the meat and potatoes of the build, we are running skill concentration for skill critical hit damage, dangerous ambush for base skill power boost ratio. In most of these activities, there's plenty of targets and enemies are stunned in trials, so this is really useful to have. We have focus on electric for skill cooldown and some skill power boost ratio for our electric. Shield consumption, this gives us skill cooldown at the cost of our shields. Nimble fingers for a little bit more skill cooldown. Some skill expansion for range, and then for a little survivability, we have bio expansion and increased HP. Now for this next part, we need to keep in mind the goal is to get 800 MP, okay? I use arche completion. This mod will give you defense and max MP up to 30 stacks as long as you don't use your rolling ability or your grapple hook. That is where our 3rd ability is going to come in handy. If you use this, the setup that I'm showing now is enough to reach that 800 MP. The other important source of this is going to be your ancestor mod. You want to prioritize critical hit damage and then max MP. I have a relatively low roll on max MP. It is possible to get enough max MP where you will not need arche completion. This is not going to be the average player though. You need a very juicy roll for that. And then you would put HP conversion into MP here instead, should you happen to have that roll. Looking at the trigger mod, we have current bonding. How this mod works is you hit an enemy with Inez's 2 ability. This puts a leash on that target. It only works on tyrants and commanders, so named enemies and the big scary bosses. This is really good in onslaught. And in trials, this is for the bosses as well as the mega dungeon. When you shoot an enemy with that, they take additional electric damage as long as your 1 is activated, and this also gives you skill power proportional to the roll on your mod. Now it's time for some demonstrations. In the field, you're going to make sure your 1 is toggled on like so. When you see it glowing like that, it is activated. and then all you have to do is shoot enemies. You'll see the bullet counter underneath the skill going down. To refresh this, all you have to do is use your 3, and then you get your bullets back. For our 2 ability, as long as you have current bonding, that trigger mod equipped, you press your 2, you will see this tether attached to you and the colossi or a commander. And when you shoot, it does bonus damage. There's no great visual for it, but it is there as long as the tether's there, and you can refresh it as much as you need. You also can see that you have the skill power bonus based off the trigger mod glowing in the bottom right hand corner. Now in combat with your 3rd ability, we're not going to be using our grapple and our roll. So when you are fighting and you are dealing with Vulgus, you are going to be on the move very constantly. This is a bit harder to pull off if you're on a keyboard, or excuse me, if you're on a controller rather than a keyboard. But in general, this is what the combat's going to look like for you. You are going to want to pop your 4 ability out before combat starts. You can just jump around the ads, especially with the way that the enemies target you after this update. As long as you are moving and staying mobile, it is really hard to hit you, and you will never feel the need to grapple or roll. In a quick demonstration of arche concretion, right now you see I have 607 max MP. If I spam my skills, which you'll just do this in normal combat, you don't have to spam your skills normally. Just through regular gameplay, as long as you don't grapple or roll or go down, you will maintain it. Got to build up some stacks. You can see them on the left, going up. Depending on your ancestor mod, you won't necessarily need the 30 stacks, but for demonstration purposes, now that I have 30 stacks, if I check, I'm at 786.2, just a little shy of the MP required, but I also have a really weak ancestor mod, so if you have a stronger one, you should easily be able to clear that 800 requirement. For the firearms, we actually have 2 that we're going to talk about. The first is the brand new Sparky Transcendent sidearm. If you aren't sure how this works, this weapon will give you electric skill power amplification rate, which is a new boost, which is why it's really powerful, just for holding it. Second to that, when you shoot enemies with it, it does a AoE damage based off your firearm damage. And when you beat enemies with an electric skill, or the firearm, that's what I was looking for, there's a chance to trigger tingling stock, which is 100%. It does an AoE damage that's not super powerful, but it's bonus damage on top of everything else. When you are looking for a random roll, I would get as much of the yellow power as possible, followed by the green or purple. This is what I would prioritize because this new stat is actually really powerful and it's a lot of bonus damage. For the readjustment on the transcendent weapons, these are relatively new and they are also extremely expensive. So if you're not going to be re-rolling these and you're just looking for them, what I would recommend is neither of these. I would suggest you get electric skill enhancement. This gives you even more skill power amplify ratio. Another really good option is this lethal arche 2. The version I want to try is this electric skill power amplify ratio with this chain strikes. This gives you more multi-hit chance, and the benefit of that is the more multi-hit you have, the more dark current triggers you will have. And finally, for the mods, we're not using this for the firearm damage, but should you want to go ahead and build it, this is my current setup for Ines. I'm not claiming this to be best in slot. This is just a really general use if you want to throw this together. So for damage, I have rifling reinforcement, action and reaction. It's a multi-hit weapon, so we have charge amplification. This cuts your firearm critical hit damage. Then I have multi-piercing sights for multi-hit damage, and then multi-precaution sight for multi-hit chance. And then it's an electric weapon, so we have electric enhancement, electric priority, and a multi-bullet for more multi-hit damage. The 2 really important things that I feel like for Ines to have here is fire rate up. The more bullets that you're shooting, the more dark current triggers and the balls bouncing that you could possibly have. And then expand weapon charge. This just makes you have to use your 3 ability a little bit less to reload and stay a bit more consistent. This one is optional if you want to swap it out for something else. So Transcendent weapons are new and they're not readily available to everybody. So in the meantime, while you're looking for that god roll Sparky, I'm going to recommend Hammer and Anvil. You might even prefer this anyway. Compared to my Sparky, this weapon was actually outputting better DPS, just less mobility. But I have a really bad Sparky roll. Once I get a good one, I know this is going to be left behind. So until then, while I'm looking for that god roll, while you're looking for that god roll, this is a really solid ultimate option. If you're not sure how this works, you toggle its firing modes, hammer and anvil, by using your aim button. You want it in the anvil mode at all times. This causes you to shoot a shell into the air that rains bullets down from above, causing multi-hits and causing your one ability to ricochet plasma balls all over the place. For the readjustment on hammer and anvil, the important thing is multi-hit chance. This is basically a glorified stat stick, but if you want to build the weapon, I would put multi-hit damage here and firearm attack here. This I have just for experimenting, but I would put electric attack here instead. And then for your cores on hammer and anvil, I recommend sprint speed for your 2 movement spots, and then fire rate in your freebie spot. The more shells you're able to get out, the more damage you're going to be doing overall. And then for your mods, I built rifling reinforcement in, action and reaction in, multi-trigger for multi-hit chance and damage, multi-piercing trigger for the same thing, multi-hit damage and some multi-hit chance, shell up for shell capacity, fire rate up for fire rate, charge amplification for firearm attack, electric enhancement and electric priority for electric damage, as well as electric circulation for a electric attack boost that is periodic rather than constant. Going over the reactor, there's a couple things I want to talk about. I am running skill critical hit damage and skill critical hit rate. The way that we have our mods set up on this build, you don't have any multiplier to your skill critical hit rate in the mod, so you have to get it somewhere. I get it from my reactor. If you want to drop arche concretion or dangerous ambush or front lines and or emergency measures to get the skill critical hit rate instead, you can do that. And then in this slot, you would run singular skill power boost ratio instead of that critical hit rate. This is my setup that I use, and I kick Volga's butt all across the dungeons and have no issues whatsoever with it. And then for the component set, we are running a 4-piece Slayer. The skill cost isn't really noticeable, and it's just pure skill power boost ratio for having it equipped. For the cores, obviously I'm running HP across the board with defense, and then for your sub rolls, I got MP recovery out of combat, max HP, max MP recovery in combat, MP recovery modifier, defense, and then these last 2 don't matter, but I have shield recovery modifier and item acquisition distance increase. This is another component set option you could run if you're short on MP. You can run a 2-piece circulation. I like it in the processor and memory slots for the HP bonuses, and then pair it with plague sensor for the singular skill power booster ratio. This gives you a flat MP bonus, which is really good with all of our multipliers to help push you over and beyond the MP goals that we're striving for. Looking at the arche board, you want to start in the middle, work your way over to the right, grabbing these skill power buffs as we go. It's also important that we get these MP buffs over to the right. You got one here, and one here, put 3 boosts. I need the skill critical hit rate because of the module setup I'm running. If you are running front lines and emergency measures as a swap out for something, you can eat these and move them somewhere else, either range or some MP recovery or even some HP if you want. After that, you want to get the electric chain and catalyst mutant cell. This will reduce enemy resistances to electricity the first time you hit them with a skill, which will hopefully be one of the only times you have to hit them with that. But if it doesn't kill them, this will help kill them even faster. For the inversion reinforcement, we are running the module output synchronization. This gives you base scalar boost ratio just for having an HP mod equipped, which we do, so this is free damage. For recovery, I've been running this emergency recovery kit while you have a fellow equipped when your HP drops below 50%. He heals you 26%. It does have a cooldown of 30 seconds, but it's like a free burst of life when you need it. And then finally, which pairs nicely with that, when HP is 50% or lower, you get incoming damage modifier reduction. These are the three that I've been running. There's not a whole lot here that impresses me for Ines, but this is the setup that I use. All right, a quick overview of everything if you want screenshots for our descendant Ines. These are her mods. For our new transcendent weapon Sparky, these are its mods. And then for the ultimate weapon Hammer and Anvil, here are the mods for that. And then finally, an overview of the stats. We have 607 max MP. Keep in mind, this is before arche concretion that pushes us up to about 800. Our skill cooldown is at 73.7%, which is just a little shy of the max. Our current range multiplier is 144%. Keep in mind, the max increase is 100%. And then you can see all your other stats here, like your increases, your critical hit rate. Keep in mind, this critical hit rate is before arche concretion is helping it out. Here's our crit damage. If you have front lines or emergency measures instead of dangerous ambush or arche concretion, that will also help this number here out. And then finally, some last minute thoughts here. So when we are talking about onslaught, I'm talking about level 4 specifically with using this build. The previous meta with Ines was to use Hammer and Anvil with the Anvil setting and shoot in the air and do AoE damage around the board. With a bad Sparky, this is still really good. I am not gonna lie to you, I'm not entirely sure how the new amplification ratio math works, but there is definitely something special about it when you include the cards in onslaught and trials. So it's strange that my damage seems to be way higher than it should be once I get just one skill power mod increase. I wish I had a better answer for that, but in those two specifically, I highly recommend Sparky just for that fact alone. When it comes to trials, I would also recommend with this build that you pick up some HP cards, not just damage cards. You want to avoid anything that sets your crit damage to 100%. This is a crit build. There is a card that increases your passive crit damage. That's very good on Ines, very good. Highly recommend you grab that. As well as some cards that boost the max range. Keep in mind, more range means more bounces, which is more damage with Ines. So all of that is very important. And when we're talking about the mega dungeon with Corel, the one weakness that I was having an issue with is in the boss room. This is in public queue, so keep that in mind. Mega dungeon hard. Getting people to shoot Corel's big ball that does the white mechanic kept downing me. I kept focusing it. It would barely not get destroyed. I don't know if that was my fault or if it's just a lack of team helping me. I wish I had a better answer for that. Traversing through the dungeon using Sparky, you feel like you're flying and just crushing everything. It is so fun. It's honestly what kicked this video idea off, because I was testing it in there and it's like, this is amazing. I have to share it. And I do hope you guys enjoy it. I did find Hammer and Anvil doing a bit more work in there for me though, so I need a better Sparky to see the difference there. I think running both is amazing for this build, and you can use your preference. Neither of them felt like they were outperforming the other by a massive margin, and things are still new, things are still fresh. We're still looking for those better god rolls on our transcendent weapon. And with all that being said, that is all I have. If you learned anything and found the video enjoyable, consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel to help support channel growth. If you have any questions or have any comments about the video, please ask them down below. I do my best to get back to each and every one of you. With all that, I appreciate you guys, and I hope to see you next time in the First Descendant.